Hey friends, it's Robin Black here. Welcome to the Black Eye Podcast. And I have a guest. I prefer to have a guest. Most of these I will. And we try to talk about fighting through a more technical eye and appreciate the beauty of the movement in the cage. And my guest is somebody who's an expert in that field. It's Firas Zahabi. How you doing, Firas?
Hey, Robin, I'm doing great, man.
Good, good. When UFC 186 is coming up and when there is a card in Montreal, you're a pretty busy cat. Who do you have fighting on this show?
We got 5 fighters. Again, this for the Montreal card. So we have Chad Lepre, Olivier Aubin-Mercier, Yves Jabouin, John McDessie, and Nordin Taleb also. Nice.
Yeah, Nordin's a good cat. You got a great group of people in there, and there's a real good training atmosphere. I want to talk about Chad Lepre for a second. I was talking to Jonathan Chainberg about him. And John said that it was a real key for him to make sure that he doesn't do anything to slow down his hand speed, doesn't do anything to build too much muscle in his shoulder because Chad has such nice hands. What can you tell me about him when you got him and where he's sort of evolved to right now?
Well, yeah, Chad is mainly, known for striking, but over the years since he's been a TriStar, he's really taken his wrestling and jiu-jitsu to another level. You saw in his last fight, he scored several takedowns, he controlled the fight. The fight was mostly a ground battle with Chad in control, Chad getting the takedown. So, yes, he definitely added some muscle, because wrestling will do that to you. It's different body type, of course. So we don't want to push it too far by doing weight and ballooning him up, He's still obviously a striker. He's going to be striking, of course, all the time. But he's taking his jiu-jitsu and wrestling to another level. So,
and Chad seems to be one of these guys that we're going to see him progress a ton because his work ethic, how committed he is to it. Is that something you found? Is that a way that he stands out about his commitment and his work ethic and his structure and all of that?
Oh yeah, he's a hard-working fighter. He really wants to, he wants to be world champion. He wants to be the best. He's putting in the hours. He has nothing. He never complains, never gives excuses, just keeps working and working. And for me, that's the formula you need to be a champion. And he's got it. He's got the drive, he's got the talent, and now, especially the fact that he's been wrestling and doing so much jiu-jitsu, I really believe he's eliminating a lot of the weaknesses he's had in the past.
When these Montreal cards come up, over the last few years, there's been so many guys and ladies that you work with on the card. Tell us a little bit about what that's like for you as a coach and for your team, to run back and forth to the cage so many times, to get ready with the next guy. How do you structure the night when you have 4, 5, 6 fighters fighting on a card?
Quite an adventure, Honestly, this will be like the 4th or 5th time we have 4 or 5 fighters on one card. It's pretty crazy, It's the training camp is great because everybody's peaking at the same time. The atmosphere is great. Everybody's in practice. Everybody's doing extra work. So the atmosphere is always great. But fight night is very hectic for me. Very hectic for me. I got 5 guys, 5 different preparations, 5 different strategies. Luckily, I have a lot of great coaches, so the coaches are with me, and I guess I'm going back and forth, but it's not the same corner in every fight. Right. I mean, every fighter has an extra coach that he works with or a training partner that he knows very well, that knows his routine. So we're going to be a team. It's going to be a TriStar coaching staff doing it. I'm in every corner, yes, and I do have to run around, but I'm the only one who has to really do that. So at the end of the day, it's just more work for me.
We've gotten to know you over the years as a coach, and you come in and analyzed with us. And like everybody in Canada, you're one of these guys that people will definitely get to know. And it seems to me that you like to be pushed. You like to see how much work you can handle. You like to take on more. Is that accurate of you as a person?
Yeah, I'm that type of guy. I'm very A-type personality. I always want to work. I always want to reach the next goal. I'm a busy guy. I don't like to hang out and do nothing. I don't like slow pace, So for me to have 5 guys to prepare, it's fun. It's something I like. And I'm never doing nothing. I always like to be focused on a project.
And can you self-assess that if ever you felt that as if you had 6 guys or 7 guys or some that took a lot of work, and you looked and you thought that would there be a point that you could underperform for one of your students? Would you ever? And if that happened, you'd be able to assess that yourself, right?
Yeah, I believe in prioritization. You can't do everything. That's true. You gotta be careful of the extreme. If another fighter wants to get on the card or whatnot, I would have to manage my time, you know. So I always tell guys, the guys with the biggest fights, the hardest fights, the guys who need more help get more help, you know. And of course, I'm always working with new coaches. That's why when some guys tell me, hey, I got a boxing coach that's been helping me, I always say, bring him in. You know, I can always use an extra pair of hands. I'm not one of those coaches who's very worried that some other coach is going to get the credit or anything like that. I'm happy to share the credit. You know, I'm more about energy. And yes, we're a huge group. It can't be one guy doing it all. Bring in other trainers, and that's why I like to share the credit and bring in extra trainers. Because at the end of the day, I want my fighters to win their fights. You know, so I'm doing everything I can to make sure they win the fights.
I want to talk about Rory a bit. Of course, he's got that title fight coming up. But before we get to that, and I know we're looking ahead to UFC 186, which is in 2 weeks. But this weekend, as a fight fan, what do you think of Machida versus Rockhold?
I think it's an interesting fight. You know, I rarely ever bet against Machida, but I do like Rockhold in this fight. I think Machida's style, when it first came to UFC, it was very strange and very unfamiliar, and nobody had partners to mimic him. But then as he became very successful, it became a little bit more predictable and more repetitive. And I don't really feel he's changed and added to his style enough. So I don't think Rockhold's going to be surprised. I think he's seen what Machida does. I think a lot of guys are figuring it out, and Machida needs to add a new twist to his game. If he doesn't, it's going to be a Rockhold night.
Yeah, and there's the element too that Chris Weidman had the perfect balance between pressure and patience, and he seemed to really go in with the idea that I'm going to fight my fight. I'm not going to react to what he does. I'm going to fight my fight. I also really like that Rockhold just didn't give away the kicking distance. He kicked with him at distance because he's not afraid of being taken down. And if you don't kick with Machida, you just give him that kicking distance. I think all of those little lessons are there for Rockhold. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree, exactly. You know, Weidman showed a lot. You know, showed what you got to do against it. I think Rockhold has those tools, and you said it right. You know, you don't want to rush Machida because you're walking for counter. You don't want to give him all the space in the world because he'll pick you apart from the outside, kind of like what he did with Henderson. And I think the right amount of pace and the fact that you know that what he does, you know, he throws a knee, he throws the blitzing left. Machida doesn't really do combinations. I think that's his weakest point. He's very good at controlling distance, but he doesn't shoot double legs, and he doesn't throw combination. I don't think it's going to be enough to beat a Rockhold.
While we're on this topic briefly, too, do you get the feeling when you're looking at sort of that middle pack of how people are coaching their fighters and the strategies that they're making, is that right now people are trying to find the answer, or the sort of middle level of how people are analyzing the sport? Everybody's looking for the answer of how to deal with the pressure fighter. Do you see that Rafael Dos Anjos style pressure fighter? There's still people trying to figure out the answer of how to deal with that. That's kind of what I've been seeing a lot of lately is people looking for that answer.
Well, you know, that's the first type of fighter you should learn how to fight. In my opinion, you know, if you're learning jiu-jitsu, you're learning boxing, or you're learning wrestling, how do you fight the guy who just comes straight at you? Because martial arts is predicated on the fact that I have less strength than you and less raw tools. I have less speed, I have less agility, I have less athleticism. You know, that's the mindset I'm supposed to have, because all technique should be based on whether this technique will work on a bigger, stronger, more athletic person. So if I'm walking you down, it's because I have more athletic attributes than you do. If I'm bigger and stronger than everybody in the room, I can have the nose-to-nose style. Why not? Nose-to-nose, I should win all the time. You have the more physical or the more assets, physical assets. So if you understand martial arts and you understand the essence of martial arts, all your techniques should be predicated on how to beat a guy who's physically bigger than me and is trying to use brute strength. So 100% right. But I wouldn't say Dos Anjos was using brute strength. He was using skill as a pressure. So I wouldn't say that. I would say just raw pressure and strength is the first thing you should deal with. And then later on, as you become more experienced, you have to learn how to deal with a guy who uses skill as pressure. Because when you use skill as pressure, it's a very powerful tool. And we saw Dos Anjos do that. He knew his counters so well that whatever Pettis would throw at him, he was ready to counter. He was ready to. He wasn't taken by surprise, and that's the thing with Pettis. He's got some amazing tools, but you've seen them a few times, and the next guy is ready for them. And that's what I think what happened with Dos Anjos. You know, Dos Anjos fought him a year earlier, and he didn't see a lot of what Pettis does. He could have got caught with a big kick or a big strike and got knocked out.
Yeah, that's a great point. And this gives me a perfect transition to Rory, because Rory is one of those guys who really uses skill to pressure you. He uses skill to discourage you from doing what you want to do. How's Rory looking right now? How's he feeling? I mean, looking at the fight that he's been waiting his life for.
You know, with Rory, it's business as usual. Whether he has a world title fight or he's fighting 6 months from now, he's always in the gym. He's always looking for the next, hitting the next level. So for him, it's business as usual, and I like it like that. I don't want him to make this fight too big, because it is a big fight, yes. But he's been preparing every fight in his entire career for this moment. So we just got to keep doing the same type of approach. Obviously, always adding new skills, but same kind of approach. You know, what got him here is the skills he's been cultivating, and the fact that he's always been evolving in the gym. You know, he's just got to keep that evolution going.
Yeah, thanks for joining me for us. I really appreciate it. I love chatting with you. One last thing I want to ask you about is somebody everybody's been talking about is Conor McGregor. Rory kind of seemed to buddy up a little with McGregor, and they did some training in Toronto. When you watch him, do you enjoy watching McGregor do his thing physically?
Oh yeah, he's a phenomenal fighter.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal fighter. Take all the promos out and all that. The guy's a phenomenal fighter. Technique is excellent. His speed is accentuated by his technique. He hits hard. He can take a shot. You know, he doesn't get hit a lot. Obviously, he doesn't get hit a lot. You know, nobody's really hurt him ever, from what I've seen. And but he did take one punch from Seaver, and he just took it, rolled his chin, like he just kind of absorbed it, and kept walking forward. And that's when I told myself, wow, this guy really has got an amazing composure. You know, because a lot of guys would have backed up and tried to slow things down. He just kept the pressure. He just literally rolled with the punch, let it slide through, and just kept jumping on Seaver. And that's what I was really impressed with. Because not only is he accurate, not only is he technical, but man, he knows how to roll with a shot, and that's something that takes a lot of experience. You know, that's something that rolling with a punch. You saw Anderson Silva do it with Bonner. You know, when somebody hits you on the chin, you just roll with it. You just kind of like let him punch right through your chin. This is something that takes a lot of experience. So I'm really impressed by the guy, and I can't wait to see him fight out. For me, it's a 50-50. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are misunderstanding because he is entertaining and compelling and all that stuff, that fighters, coaches like yourself, analysts, people are seeing that he is actually a special fighter, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. But, Coach, thanks again so much for chatting with me. It's a real pleasure anytime I get to catch up with you, and we'll see you in Montreal.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Thanks. That was Firas Zahabi on the Black Eye Podcast. Thanks, Firas. Take care, and thank you guys for joining us. This one's gonna make you bleed, and this one's gonna break.